Did you know this soft mud gets hotter than lava?
This factory fires tens of thousands of these bricks every single day. Keep watching. Welcome back. Today we are inside a brick factory, watching soft clay turn into solid stone.
Everything starts here, where a giant excavator tears clay and shale straight out of the ground. Each bucket load weighs more than a car, swinging straight toward a waiting truck bed. Load after load, this truck bed fills with raw material pulled straight from the hillside.
That truck now carries tons of raw clay down a dusty road toward the factory gates.
Look at this raw clay. It has no shape yet, but that is about to change fast. At the yard, the truck tips its bed and clay pours down a steel chute below.
This mound already holds enough raw clay for thousands of finished bricks.
A wheel loader now feeds this stockpile straight toward the very first machine inside the plant. Every single chunk in this hopper started as ordinary soil less than an hour ago. This feeder meters a steady stream of clay onto the conveyor, no matter how much sits in the yard. Watch this clay disappear into the plant. In a moment, it will look nothing like this at all.
Now this raw clay meets its first real machine, a crusher built to break it down completely. Inside the crusher, spinning steel hammers smash these rough chunks into smaller pieces again and again.
Every chunk that goes in this size comes out this much smaller every single time.
A vibrating screen now shakes the crushed clay, letting fine powder fall through while stones bounce away. Anything too coarse gets pulled aside here, long before it ever reaches the next stage. Heavy steel rollers then grind that powder even finer, almost as fine as flour. See that dust? Every single particle is ground down to nearly the same size, no exceptions at all. Overhead magnets pull out tiny bits of metal, keeping every batch of clay perfectly clean.
That fine powder now rests in an open bay, piling up layer after layer before it moves on.
Watch this old batch merge with the new. This blend is what gives the final brick its strength. This resting period softens the clay further, making every future batch easier to shape.
This plain gray clay is about to survive fire, pressure, and centuries of weather. Hit like to see it happen. Now this rested clay powder is ready to meet water for the very first time.
A spray nozzle adds a steady stream of water while paddles blend it into thick paste. Sand and sawdust granules pour in too, blended evenly into every batch for extra strength.
This paste now looks nothing like the dry powder that went in only minutes ago.
Watch this paste enter a sealed chamber next. What happens inside decides if the brick survives firing.
Next, this thick clay paste is pushed into a sealed chamber that pulls out all the air.
Look closely at this paste losing its air pockets. This step decides if the brick survives firing. That is exactly why every batch passes through this vacuum chamber before it is ever shaped. This dense clay is now pushed by a rotating screw through a rectangular steel die for the very first time. A continuous column of clay slides out, already carrying the round holes of the final brick. Steel forming plates smooth its outer surface just before the column reaches the cutting station ahead. This column never stops moving, traveling the length of a car every few seconds, hour after hour. A computer holds this pressure perfectly steady, keeping every inch of the column exactly the same shape. Watch what happens next. This clay column is about to become individual bricks for the first time.
Now thin steel wires drop straight down through the moving column, slicing it into single bricks.
Each cut clay brick at this stage of production is soft and wet, about the size of a paperback book. Rows of these soft bricks now ride the roller table, drying slightly in the open factory air.
Watch how easily these bricks separate now. In a moment, robots take over completely on their own.
This one robotic arm now does work that used to take a dozen people by hand.
It places each brick with millimeter precision onto this drying rack, row after row, never missing a spot.
The loaded rack now rolls forward on rails, heading straight for the drying chamber just ahead.
Watch this rack disappear into the tunnel. What comes out the other end looks nothing like this.
Inside the tunnel, warm air blows steadily across every rack of bricks moving through it.
That warm air is not wasted. It is recycled straight from the kiln further down the line. Nothing here runs on guesswork. Sensors track temperature and moisture in every rack, hour after hour.
These bricks entered soft and heavy with water. Now they slowly grow lighter and firmer.
By the time they reach this point, most of their water is already completely gone.
Watch the color change on these bricks. That lighter shade means they are almost ready for fire.
These dried clay bricks at this stage of production now roll out of the tunnel, pale tan and firm. A setting machine now lifts these dried bricks in tight rows, ready for the next stage. Every layer interlocks perfectly, leaving small gaps so hot air can move freely once firing begins.
One kiln car like this can hold thousands of bricks, stacked in perfect order, ready for the heat ahead.
A hydraulic pusher now shoves this fully loaded car toward the mouth of the tunnel kiln.
This is the moment everything has been building toward. The kiln entrance is finally right ahead. Remember that soft, wet mud from the very beginning? It is about to face real fire. Brick factories dig up farmland and burn fuel for days to make cheap walls. Is that trade fair? Comment below.
Inside the preheating zone, these bricks slowly warm from room temperature toward the intense heat ahead.
Through a small window in the kiln wall, their surface begins to glow with a faint pink tint.
Rows of gas burners line the kiln's walls, firing blue and orange flames into the tunnel.
This kiln never shuts off. It runs 24 hours a day, every single day of the year. Deeper in the firing zone, the temperature climbs past 1,000 degrees Celsius, hotter than flowing lava.
Through the peephole, these bricks now glow bright orange, almost white, at the very peak of the kiln. This glow is not just heat. It is the moment soft clay becomes permanent, hard ceramic.
At this temperature, tiny mineral crystals inside the clay fuse together, locking its structure with no going back.
This is the point in the whole process where the clay truly stops being just dirt.
Every batch that reaches this factory was chosen specifically for how it behaves inside real fire.
Watch closely as they enter the next zone. Everything about their color is about to change again.
Cold air jets now blast from nozzles in the tunnel wall, cooling these bricks in a controlled way.
Their glow fades slowly from bright orange to a deep, dull red as they move forward.
Cooling too fast would crack them instantly, so this whole zone controls the temperature very precisely. A computer system checks this temperature every second, adjusting fans faster than any human ever could. By now, these bricks have cooled enough that your hand would not burn, much closer to room temperature. At the tunnel's far end, these fired clay bricks finally roll out into the open factory hall. Remember that soft, wet mud from the beginning? Here it is now, harder than the ground it came from.
Their color has changed completely, now a deep reddish brown instead of dull gray clay. For good.
A robotic arm now reaches into the kiln car, gripping rows of these finished bricks at once.
It lifts each row cleanly and sets it down onto a conveyor heading further into the factory.
Behind it, the empty kiln car rolls back along its track, ready to be loaded again.
This same car will make that same journey through the kiln thousands of times over its lifetime.
These finished bricks now move steadily along the conveyor, deep red and completely hard to the touch.
Up ahead, a very different kind of inspection is waiting for every single one of them. No human checks these bricks anymore. Cameras and lasers now do that job far more precisely. A thin laser line sweeps across each brick, measuring its size down to a fraction of a millimeter. When it finds a flaw, a small pneumatic arm knocks that single brick off the line instantly. That rejected brick drops into a chute below, later crushed and recycled back into new clay. The same system also checks color, comparing every brick against a reference sample in less than a second. Tap one of these bricks and it now rings with a clear, solid, almost metallic sound.
That sound means something important. A dull, hollow thud would mean this brick failed inside the kiln. Every brick that passes this test continues onward. Very few ever make it into that reject chute.
This software learned from millions of bricks, so it spots a hairline crack that a person would miss.
No human checks slow this line down. Every brick clears inspection in a fraction of a second. Up ahead, this line splits apart, sorting every brick by exactly how it turned out. This arm reads color faster than any eye, pulling darker bricks onto their own separate lane. Even a fraction of a millimeter matters here. This arm keeps every size grade perfectly separate.
Every brick on this lane now matches its neighbor almost perfectly, thanks to that sorting arm. Side by side, these lanes now carry bricks sorted with a precision no factory floor had before.
This one station now tracks every single brick made here, without ever losing count.
After sorting, these matched bricks merge back together, ready for the very last stage. A guide rail nudges every brick into a single tidy row before it moves on. This pusher squares off every row, so nothing arrives crooked at the next machine.
This platform lifts each finished row up toward a much bigger robotic arm waiting overhead. A much larger robotic arm now takes over, ready to build these bricks into finished loads.
Watch this arm carry an entire row at once. No single brick ever slows this down. This is the very first layer of a brand new pallet, built brick by brick.
Layer by layer, this pallet grows taller, each row locking neatly onto the one below it. Every layer alternates its pattern slightly, locking the whole stack together like a puzzle. A single pallet like this can hold several hundred finished bricks, stacked with almost no wasted space.
This completed stack now rolls toward a machine built to hold it together for its journey ahead.
Steel bands now wrap around this stack, holding every single brick firmly in place. Several bands wrap this stack at different heights, so it holds together even under rough handling.
Straps alone are not enough. This stack now heads straight for one more layer of protection.
This film spins around the stack from bottom to top, sealing out moisture and dust completely.
Once wrapped, this pallet is protected well enough to sit outside through almost any weather.
A forklift now lifts this finished pallet, carrying it toward the storage yard outside.
This pallet now leaves the production floor completely, carrying thousands of finished bricks with it.
Each finished pallet takes its place in a growing row, ready for the next one behind it.
A single row like this can already represent an entire day of non-stop production. And this whole cycle repeats itself again, from raw clay to finished pallet, every single hour.
A brand new pallet begins right here, while the last one still sits out in the yard.
This arm never rests, moving from pallet to pallet with the exact same steady rhythm.
No matter how many pallets this line builds, every single one comes out exactly the same.
These bands lock down another finished stack, ready for its own turn in the wrap machine.
Every pallet leaving this line gets the exact same protective wrap, without a single one skipped.
Another finished pallet now heads outside, joining a yard that never really stops growing.
Rows like this represent thousands of finished bricks, each one carrying the exact same journey inside.
From above, this yard looks almost like a city map, block after block of finished bricks. Every brick in this yard costs very little on its own, yet the walls they build can stand for generations.
This brick costs less than a candy bar, but can outlast a house. Bargain or too cheap? Comment why.
This cycle never truly stops. Another pallet begins the moment the last one rolls away.
Every layer here locks on to the one before it, exactly the way it did the very first time.
Hundreds more bricks now stand ready here, every one of them tracing back to that same raw clay.
These bands hold this stack together with the same care given to every pallet before it.
Wrapped and sealed, this pallet is now ready to sit outside for as long as it needs to. This same forklift has made this exact trip more times today than anyone could count.
This row keeps growing, one finished pallet at a time, all through the working day. Dozens of rows like this now stand finished, each one holding thousands of bricks inside. Every block in this yard began the exact same way, as ordinary clay dug from the ground.
From raw clay to this finished yard, the entire journey takes less time than most people expect. This forklift heads back inside for another load, the same trip it has made all day long.
Inside, this line keeps building new pallets, matching the pace of the yard outside.
Every stack leaving this station gets the same careful strapping, without a single shortcut taken.
This wrap seals in every brick exactly the same way it has all day, without a single miss.
Every pallet that leaves this door represents the full journey we just watched, start to finish.
This yard now holds enough finished brick to build several houses, all made within a single day.
Very few people ever touch these bricks by hand, from the quarry all the way to this yard.
This station has already built more stacks today than most people could name in a week.
Every finished stack matches the last one almost perfectly, right down to the very top layer. These bands finish their job in seconds, holding thousands of bricks safely together at once.
This is the same protective wrap every single pallet receives before it ever leaves this room.
This pallet makes the same short trip that every single one before it has already made.
A new row starts here, right beside rows that were finished only a few hours earlier.
By the end of a single day, this yard can hold more brick than most people will ever need.
That kiln behind the yard has not stopped running once since this video began. Every machine we have followed today is still running right now, exactly as it was at the very start.
Each of these rows began as nothing more than clay and shale pulled from a hillside.
From soft clay pulled out of the ground to this, hard enough to build a home that lasts.
Even after dark, this yard keeps growing, because the kiln inside never once slows down.
This yard runs just as steadily at night as it does during the middle of the day.
This factory floor stays this bright and this busy through every single shift, day and night. This late stack gets the same careful strapping as the very first one we saw today. Every pallet still gets wrapped exactly the same way, no matter what hour of the day it is.
Out here, under these floodlights, this pallet joins hundreds of others finished earlier today.
Tomorrow morning, another truck full of raw clay will already be waiting at the gate.
Every pallet in this yard tonight started the exact same way, as ordinary clay in the ground.
This is what it takes to turn soft clay into something that can outlast almost anything built from it.
Here at the very end of the line, every finished brick gets built into its final shipping cube.
Layer after layer locks together here until hundreds of bricks form one single, solid cube.
Steel bands now pull this entire cube tightly together, holding every brick firmly in place. This film seals out moisture and dust completely, protecting every brick inside the cube.
A forklift now lifts this finished cube, carrying it out toward its place in the yard.
This cube takes its place in a row that already holds thousands of finished bricks.
Every cube standing in this yard traces back to the same soft clay we saw at the very beginning.
And that is how bricks are made, with the most advanced technology in the world. Thanks for watching. See you next time.